Hey guys, it's Bub here. This video was created before the release of the Windows 11 Insider Preview today, so some things may not be accurate. This video is simply going over all of the features that were introduced on the June 24th keynote. My hands-on with the Insider Preview will be released next week. Thank you, and let's get back into the video. On June 24th, Microsoft unveiled Windows 11 at an online event. Insider builds will be released later this week, and the official release is aimed for around the end of 2021 and early 2022. Windows 11 brings a ton of welcome changes to the Windows interface, although some are controversial. Since there's no official Insider builds released yet, I'll be demoing some of the new features on the Windows 11 leaked build that came out 2 weeks ago. With that being said, let's get into the video. Microsoft is being a little bit hypocritical of themselves with the release of Windows 11. In 2015, when Microsoft released Windows 10, Microsoft said that they're treating Windows as a service and that Windows 10 would be the last version of Windows, with periodic updates like they've been doing with 20H1, 20H2. However, this information has been really taken and censored off of Microsoft's website with the announcement of Windows 11. Personally, I believe updating Windows as a service was a better idea than keeping with 11, 12, 13, but I'm not the CEO of Microsoft. Before we dive any deeper into the operating system, let's take a look at its requirements. It requires a 1 GHz or faster CPU with 2 or more cores, 4 GB of RAM, 64 GB of storage, but this is where things get a little weird. It requires a UEFI and Secure Boot capable system firmware, which means no more support for legacy systems. It also requires a TPM version 2.0 chip, which is basically a dedicated security chip. While this is great for security, it eliminates a ton of computers that can run Windows 11. To check if you have a TPM, go to the Run dialog and type tpm.msc. On the virtual machine, there is no TPM, so it says no TPM. But on my main Windows 10 machine, when we run TPM, it'll show that there is TPM 2.0 already enabled. Most CPUs have TPM from the last 5 to 7 years, so go play around with that in your BIOS. In fact, for manufacturers to get an OEM certification for Windows, Microsoft was requiring a TPM chip built inside of the computers they were selling. So it's been required for a long time, and chances are your computer has one. Now we can take a look at the new UI design. A lot of UI elements changed from the Windows 11 leaked build to the actual Windows 11 release, so we'll be showing some footage from the event here. However, the design has been totally overhauled. The start menu was basically ripped directly from dead Windows 10X. Rounded corners seems to be the theme, with really everything being rounded. The taskbar is now centered, and a lot of new icons have been presented for apps and system elements. There is a new lock screen which looks very similar to GNOME, and overall the operating system is very refined, very glassy, with, of course, a new updated UI. There's still no word on if legacy apps like Control Panel still exist. In the leaked build, Control Panel and all that stuff still exists, but there was no mention of it at the actual event. So overall, this UI is very controversial. Some say it looks a lot like macOS, some say it looks a lot like Linux, and some just really don't like it. And I'm somewhere in the middle. Right now, I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. I feel like a lot of it looks like Linux more than macOS. There are new sounds in Windows 11, so take a listen to those. Snap layouts allow for the user to select different arrangements for their windows. This is extremely similar to Fancy Zones, which was included in Microsoft Power Toys. All you have to do is hold on the Maximize button, and a little menu will be brought up where you can select a ton of things. Unlike Fancy Zones, you can't customize this. It's basically what's there is what's there. However, it's still pretty cool to see all the different arrangements that you can do. Another great window management feature is if you have a second monitor and you undock or unplug that monitor, all of your windows on that second monitor automatically minimize to your taskbar. But then, when you plug that monitor back in, they come right back where they were on the second monitor. This is honestly a really great productivity feature because you really don't have to select where everything has to go again. Microsoft focused a ton on gaming for Windows 11. Auto HDR is a new feature which, as the name says, it automatically enables HDR depending on the situation you're in. Microsoft also says that they are able to maximize throughput and CPU performance with Windows 11. And of course, Xbox Game Pass is built into Windows 11. Honestly, it's pretty cool, and I can't wait to try an Insider build to see how much more gaming performance we can actually get out of Windows 11 compared to Windows 10. I felt like Windows 10 was already pretty good to games, but if Windows 11 does it even better, that's amazing. After the disaster that was Windows 8, Microsoft has really been committed to providing a great experience for both desktop users and touch users. That's why with Windows 10, they had regular desktop mode and then tablet mode. However, this time, like Windows 8, there's no tablet mode. The Windows 11 entire operating system is optimized for touch, which sounds exactly like Windows 8. There's bigger touch areas around every UI element, and the screen rotation moves windows where they are, and it doesn't scramble them around like it did with Windows 10. Also, with the taskbar being centered, bigger spacing in between elements, and overall buttons in the operating system being bigger, this is really optimized for touch. And it doesn't look too much like Windows 8 with those big live tiles on the start screen, but I don't know if this would be exactly an optimal performance desktop operating system. But this is what I believe Windows 8 should have been. The Microsoft Store has had a total full redesign. It looks a lot like the Linux App Store. The store now has support for way more apps, not just UWP apps, but also things like Win32, which is your traditional exe app. There's also support for Android apps. Android apps can now run on Windows without a Samsung being connected to your phone, but there's a catch. It uses the Amazon App Store. If you've ever used a Kindle or really any Amazon Android device, you'll know that the Amazon App Store is extremely useless. It doesn't have a lot of apps, and most people who get a Kindle end up sideloading the Google Play Store onto it, which brings us into the next point. Could sideloading be possible on Windows 11? Of course, in their event, they didn't mention anything of sideloading, but I'm sure someone will break down how Windows handles Android apps and then see how they can get an external APK to work on Windows 11. So overall, very excited for that, even though the Amazon App Store is extremely limited in app quantity. Windows gadgets are back, except not really. They're not like gadgets that we're seeing in Windows Vista and 7. It opens on the left side of the display by a button in the taskbar, so it's not like your gadget bar on the desktop. This looks extremely similar to the widgets seen in macOS Big Sur, with the square curved edges, and overall it looks extremely similar to what we found in Big Sur and even macOS Monterey. This is really kind of useless, and I wish widgets would be able to be added directly to the desktop like they could in Windows 7. If we could add these square widgets to the desktop, that would be amazing. Let's talk about Microsoft accounts for a minute. Microsoft's Windows 11 system requirements page that we looked at earlier says that Windows 11 Home requires an internet connection to set up, which makes sense, and a Microsoft account, which indicates that we won't be able to make local accounts on Windows 11 Home. So only Home, not Pro or any other editions. One thing I like to do when I set up a Windows 10 Home installation for myself is I completely skip the Microsoft account sign-in, which involves taking the PC off the internet to get it to create a local account. However, apparently that won't even be possible. To set up a Windows 11 Home PC, you need to have a Microsoft account. With all these new features, Microsoft has also removed a ton of features, including live tiles, the Windows timeline, of course Windows 10 tablet mode, Internet Explorer has finally been killed off, your desktop wallpaper when signed in with a Microsoft account on a new device is no longer synced between devices, S mode is only available for Windows 11 Home, you can't have Windows 11 S Pro, only Home, and when installing from a clean ISO, 3D Viewer, OneNote for Windows 10, Paint, and Skype will no longer come installed. Updating from Windows 10 with these apps already installed will keep them, but clean installs will no longer have them. And so with that being said, that was Windows 11. Definitely let me know in the comments below what you think of Windows 11, and we'll be trying out the Windows Insider builds next week in a new video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, as I do all kinds of different technology videos. And with that being said, I'll see you all in the next one.